One of whom wrote the Bhagavad Gita, and there are many other, the Buddha Goswami, and many other realized people. We invite them to be present in spirit, so that meditation will give this particular candidate everything he may want. And when you invite somebody to your house in India, or when you used to invite them 6,000 years ago, and you provided them with fresh linen, with water to drink, water for their bath, spices, foods, flowers, fruit, camphor which burns without residue, which symbolizes consciousness. So we go through this. The scripture, everything takes about 5 minutes. And we bring the flowers and the fruit and the handkerchief to represent the linen. And in those ancient times, it must be very different today, of course, in those ancient times, they thought that what you didn't pay for, you didn't go through it. And so they've always been encouraged to bring something, some money in an envelope. I leave the question of what you do with that to Warner and the school in general, but it's simply, from my point of view, going through the motions of the same as we've been trained to do and been asked to do. Any money that does come, I don't know anything about, it's given to the school of meditation to help them disseminate meditation in random and distant parts. They have many branches throughout the world which are growing greatly in size, and this money goes for that purpose. I think I mentioned 4 things for that.
Yes, I think you did.
Say something about the effects of so many people meditating
The question is, can you say something about the effects of so many people meditating in the world at one time?
I think there are quite enough people who are really meditating in the world to make a difference already to the climate of the people around them. I mean, it has made a great deal of difference in families, for instance, in schools, already, in a number of different parts of the world. The hope is that as more and more people genuinely do it and genuinely get results, that it may change the whole climate of the Western world today. One can see that in the 12 years since it first reached the West, 13 years in fact, there has been a great deal of difference, if only to the attitude people have towards this strange thing called meditation. When it was originally built, it was carried out there to explain what it was and why anybody had to do it. But now everybody's talking about meditation. Whether they're meditating remains to be seen. All the time, all the crime and the violence is going on. which is necessary, has been necessary all through the history of humanity before some change takes place. An inner change has been going on. Among now a great many people in different countries. And we shall, I think, before very long, see much more of the effects of it.
Is it true that meditation is mentioned in the Christian tradition? And if it is, how does it relate to meditation in Judaism?
Yes, it is true that meditation is mentioned in the Christian tradition. And if it is, how does it relate to the meditation which you're speaking of?
Well, this we've always wanted to know very much. It's quite certain that those immediately surrounding our Lord did some form of meditation or discipline. And there's quite a lot of evidence that they used this form for even now. But it's only when you have done it that I can explain to you what the evidence is. But I'm pretty sure this ancient tradition, which is long before even Indians were invented, and certainly 6,000 years at least before Christianity came into the world, gave rise to a great many offshoots. And it's quite possible that some of the people who founded Christianity prepared for it in Israel and many other traditions originally stem from this one. This is called the fourth way, this tradition. The Shankaracharya refers to his tradition as the fourth way. He speaks about three traditional ways based on physical discipline, rituals and so on, ways based on obedience, faith, religious ways, devotion, and ways devoted to knowledge. And those are exemplified in the different forms of yoga. Hatha yoga for physical disciplines, bhakti for the devotional way, jnana yoga for the way of knowledge. But this fourth way doesn't belong to any religious denomination or any particular form of yoga. It's an advisory tradition and encourages the leaders of any religion or tradition to come and learn this system of meditation and go and teach their own teaching and practice their own religion better than before. This was such a relief when I discovered it. Up to then, everybody had been trying to convert me. You only had to go to somebody and say, give up what you're doing and do what I'm doing. But that has never happened in this, with the Shankaracharya. So you see then at the heads of different people, he answers their questions, trains them in the meditation, and tells them to go and do their thing. And that is really the only way, the fourth way, is the only way which is compatible with ordinary life, with the ordinary busy life of the householder. Other ways require special conditions. University, the School of Economic Science, and the Study of Sciences, and School of Meditation, were all supposed to belong to this fourth way. And the fourth way is based on understanding, not doing things until you understand. Sorry, we wanted to... But I think the first thing is to take a direct and simple way. If you ever feel tired, if you feel you need more energy, if you feel that you're not getting to the part of you that matters, the creative part, try this. One of the things the mind is doing all the time is going off into the future, which will never happen, and dwelling on the past, which is over and done with. There's a story about that. Two people were arguing about what career their son should adopt. She came from a medical family, the mother, and the father wanted the boy to be a lawyer like himself. They argued the talks from morning to night at the tops of their voices until one day an expert in meditation happened to look in and asked them what the row was about. And they explained to him this problem about the education of their son. So he said, all right, call the boy and let's hear what he has to say about it. And they looked at each other and then they think and said, the boy isn't born yet. And that's how we go on. So he said, use some of this energy for getting the boy born. And when he comes to age of about 9 or 10, see what his aptitude is, and then you can arrive at his profession. But there all the time, the mind has this inveterate habit of never being in the present moment, never seizing the opportunity of this moment, and steps over something which could give infinite possibilities without ever seeing it. Now, shall we switch this off and have some off-the-record questions? And things people really want to know. You've been awfully good. All these questions are very respectable questions. Nobody's going to follow them. Now, let's have a really bad question. Good.
What makes people out there to institute meditation to politicians and people in made institutions so that all of the details this observation will it's one thing that is where it will start
The question is, wouldn't it be good to introduce the meditation to politicians and the people who are responsible say that war and disharmony would be diminished?
Well, a great friend of Mr. Heath has tried to introduce meditation to Mr. Heath, and I don't actually know of anyone who tried to introduce it to Mr. Wilson. But I think there would be a certain amount of difficulty. But of course, if we could get the politicians to meditate, things might be a little different. Not only politicians, miners, businessmen, everybody. But the trouble is you can't give people anything that they don't want. So we have to wait till we're asked. And I hope some of you will really ask and want to have it. So let's begin with our thoughts.
How do you explain to somebody who's not ready to
The question is, how do you explain to someone who doesn't know about the fourth way that meditation is not a selfish thing?
By your example, if you are not selfish, they will listen to what you say. It's very much more a question of example rather than explanation or precept. So if everybody around in London realizes that members of the School of Economic Science are happy, unselfish people, full of love for their fellow beings, the school will fill up awfully quickly and lots of meditators will come down. Comment on that?
I think this is exactly the problem, because many members of the school are not kindly knowledge with objectivity. Your suggestion that it's guaranteed getting there doesn't work.
The question is that, from observation, many people in the school are not kind or generous, and are not kind or generous, and that what you are saying about meditation does not seem to be a guarantee of its effectiveness.
I don't know how many people in the school are taking a meditation full distance. If you can give me a list of those who are, one might be able to say that the kindness and generosity will be coming along. You can't suddenly change it. It's a long process. And that shows on the surface is usually the last thing. A lot of inner change has to take place first. But if husbands are more happy for their wives to live with, and wives more happy to their husbands, and so the general feeling of at least tolerance, and at least the feeling that your view is as good as mine. This is one of the signs of successful meditation. But start with yourself, because looking round and criticizing is not a good preparation for meditation.
Yes, I agree with you, sir. It seems to be clear that
the question is one of agreement, that he does agree with your answer. But that people really are, whether they're in the school or not, are much the same. And the last part of your, or rather the middle part, I'm afraid I've missed. I have, so it's covered.
No, I don't find it so. I have many very young friends in the school, and when one gets to know them, you find they are very different. But the pressures of life and the external material world, the visible part of a person, very difficult to change anything. But if you could see inside the person, I think you'd find that there's great hope for the future. In any case, you might be the only one now who meditated really properly and exuded this kindness and affection, which is so different from everybody else. Now, you be the one that does that. Really listening and carrying out meditation honestly. He's looking, how's he looking? Well, thoughtful. Yeah. I suppose you must be all rather wanting coffee.
And as you were saying, the mind whips away from attention all the time. And I think when we go any words or thoughts, the problem in meditation is to draw one back. Because, it's all pretty still for half an hour. It's quite, I was focusing on the words. I'm not used to it. It's been a long time.
Yes. The substance of the question is that the lady is not used to sitting, doing nothing for half an hour, and wonders whether there is in fact anything in the manner of words given to in fact assist one to bring the mind back to where it should be.
Something very special given to make this possible. In fact, actually, you are not encouraged at the beginning to do more than 10 minutes. And gradually ease yourself in to the lovely feeling you get from laying aside all the burden and a feeling of liberation. And then you'll find you'll be asking to do more. And you won't be allowed to, because 2.5 hours is the limit. But in fact, there is something special. And that's why this meditation, once you begin it, takes the place of all other exercises. Many exercises being used as a lead up at different times and different places. But the Shankaracharya insists that if you begin to do this meditation, it should take the place of any other exercise. Because it has this special aid to get into the peace and silence. And I think I would like just to tell you the further answer that was given to Mr. Whiting and his last visit, head of the School of Meditation. He brought up this instruction. Your job is to provide them with rest and help them to give up the unnecessary burdens. Can you tell us more? And he said there are 3 types of rest. There's the bodily rest in the physical realm, the mental rest in the subtle realm, and the spiritual rest in the causal realm. As far as the physical realm is concerned, everyone knows that after a day's work, one needs sleep, rest during the night. And even at the end of a hard job, you need to stop a bit and get a rest. The rest of the subtle level appears between the fulfillment of one desire and the initiation of the next, or the completion of one wire and the beginning of another one. And it's the state of non-desire which provides rest at the subtle level, which would make such a difference to our lives. The rest, the third or causal level of rest, is a profound stillness or total immobility, which is in the realm of the absolute. Since the causal level cannot be described, one knows about it from its effects. And one can see it in the activities and dispositions of such men in the history of humanity or who are alive today, who provide themselves with this spiritual rest or peace. That they show 3 prominent features. Firstly, they show love and affection towards everything they encounter. All activities will be initiated with love and then held and nourished with love till they come to their fulfillment. All relationships with individuals will be lighted and guided only by undemanding love. Secondly, their ideas, intentions, or motives will be pure and simple. Purity and simplicity widen the horizon, and so they think and work for the whole of humanity, and only through the natural laws. The divisions of groups, races, or nations disappear, and only natural laws are employed. Thirdly, the physical movements of such people are only geared to the natural rhythm, and the result is simplicity and economy of movement. They never rush into any situation, are never agitated, and perform all actions in an efficient and refined way. Whatever they do will emerge from stillness, be held in stillness, and again submerged in the same stillness. This would establish an ideal or a standard for the common man to aspire to. If one happy day he awakens to the need to improve his lot. There's a story about this business of purity and simplicity. In the Great War, described in the Mahabharata, one of the Indian epics, a man called Karna was appointed commander-in-chief of the army which was to fight the army of Arjuna. And his charioteer, on the way to the battlefield, said, although you are a great warrior and an efficient leader, it would not be possible for you to vanquish Arjuna because he is supported by Sri Krishna, who has achieved this profound stillness. And the charioteer told him a story of a flock of crows. One of them was strong, clever, and good-looking, so they made him their leader. This king of the crows felt very proud of his exploits, and hence looked down upon all other creatures. One day a young swan appeared in that vicinity, and all the crows assembled round the swan and asked him if he'd heard about the great deeds of their king. He pleaded ignorance and wanted to see the king perform. The king crow appeared and asked the swan about different types of flight. The swan, in his simplicity, said that he knew only one style. The king crow then embarked on an exhibition of his 101 styles of flight. Having performed his 101 forms of aerobatics, the king then asked to see the art of the swan. The young swan took off in a graceful, gentle, and natural flight, and as usual increased his speed rather gradually. The crow, being small and swift, flew past and back again, realizing the swan was left behind, got rather impatient with him. The swan gradually increased his speed, and it was not very long before the crow was tired, began to tremble, his wings flapped,